Hello everyone and welcome to The Chosen Generation. The Chosen Generation is a platform where we engage with young people on issues that affect them in the church. Today we are talking about women under attack. Why are women under attack? Why are they abused? Why are they killed? And what can we do to stop it? Well, we went out to the street and asked a few young people what they thought about this. And this is what they had to say.
Unfortunately, we have done marches against gender-based violence. We do not know what works anymore. The more we cry, the more we read of more rape and killings of women. What can we do as a church to stop it? I do not know if there is a strategy that could work anymore. Awareness have been done. We now wait on the coming of Jesus, putting a stop to all this. Criminals have hardened their hearts. The more we march, the more we still die. Hopeless situation, and the solution doesn't seem to lie here.
Put in systems to protect people, like at my church, no opposite gender, counseling, prayer, etc.
Well, you've heard for yourself what they have to say. You can also share your ideas with us on social media. The hashtag's on the screen. Let us know what you think. We'll be going to a break right now, but we'll be right back. Stay tuned. This is The Chosen Generation. Welcome back. You're still watching The Chosen Generation. Today we ask the question why? Why are women under attack in the church? I'm not alone today. I have my distinguished guests who will help us to unpack this issue and perhaps provide an answer to the question. I'll start by introducing my guests. Maybe I'll start on my far left. We have with us Brother Sidwell from an organization called ADAPT. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes, we also have Brother Thabo, who has joined us. I believe he came with Brother Sidwell. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
To my right, we have Pastor Bafana. Thank you so much for coming to help us unpack this issue. Last but not least, we have Bukhulu and Dombela, who assist us to unpack this issue as well. Thank you so much for your presence. I think perhaps, I think we all understand what we mean by women attack, but let me come and start with you, Brother Sidwell. Maybe you can share a few ideas or a few thoughts on what ADAPT is, what work do you do and so forth, and why you started and so forth. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think maybe firstly, thank you for inviting us here. Yeah. My name is Sidwell. I'm from an organization known as ADAPT. I'm not alone, I'm with Thabo.
Yes.
I work hand in hand with him. The organization that we come from, it's called ADAPT. In full, it's Akhisan and Domestic Abuse Prevention and Training. Okay. The core business of the organization, we are offering psychosocial. It's a woman organization that started mainly focusing on trying to ensure that it's offer psychosocial for an abused woman. Okay. But the focus grew being informed by the needs of people on the ground. Time and a time when a woman comes to the organization, there are those that will be indicating that, yes, I'm experiencing the abuse, but at the same time, my partner, who's my husband, he's the one who's the perpetrator of the subject that we will be talking about. And I don't want to leave this particular man. Can this organization do something to ensure that we assist this man for him to be able to understand that him being abusive towards me is totally wrong? So this organization then sat and realized that we are here to respond to the call of members of the society. And we came up with the program that we call Men's Program. Okay. The core business of the Men Program is to ensure that we work with men as part of the solution in addressing gender-based violence issues. Okay. So there are a few projects within our Men's Program. Would go to different prisons where we would be engaging with inmates. Okay. And those are the inmates that are incarcerated within the content of gender-based violence. Trying to ensure that we empower them within this content that we are learning about, just for them to be in a space where they understand them, prepare them. They come a time where they come back to the society. They must come back.
Sounds like you're doing quite necessary work in the society. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Maybe I should bring in Thabo here. Maybe you can tell us your story. Why? What happened? I heard somewhere that perhaps you may have been a fruit of ADAPT. Maybe you can tell us the story and so forth.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. My name is Thabo Mweketsi.
Yes.
I'm a member of men's program in the same organization, ADAPT. Well, I was a victim of domestic violence, and then I became a perpetrator because I did not get help from that, the effects of domestic violence.
Okay.
And then, well, I realized that no, man, I've got a problem. So that is why I chose to stand up and do something about it. That's when I came into contact with ADAPT, and then.
And how did it help you? How did ADAPT help you?
Yeah, no, a lot, because after going through the sessions with the social worker, I got introduced into the men's program. There's a group of men who sit together and talk about the challenges that they are facing on a daily basis. So in a way, it creates that space to be able to talk to the issues that we men go through. So that space, because it's confidential, and then you can trust the men that you're sharing the story with, that it helps a lot to talk about the things that you're going through.
Okay. No, that's very interesting. Maybe I should bring in Bhulu, and you can give us from a lady's perspective. Just been speaking to men. Why do you think we have this attacks on women in the church in particular?
Well, I think the reason behind that is that women have always been deemed as the weaker vessel, as it's even written in the Bible. So somehow, but not just the weaker vessel, but we have been classified as a second-class citizens. Whereby it's a men's world, and women are visitors in it. So they are ill-treated and treated anyhow, in any shape or any form, so that men can somehow feel powerful, so that they can feel like they are men. So they tend to define their manhood by oppressing women. So that has given them the rise for them to be able to abuse and do all these sorts of things, and think that it is some men even go to the extent of quoting the Bible. That I'm raising my hand to you because the Bible says you must be submissive. So in order for you to be submissive, I must raise my hand so that I make you to be submissive. Where they miss the critical part where the Bible says, men, you must love. So you should love her into submission, not abuse her into submitting to you.
That is so interesting. Maybe I should bring you here, Bafana, from context of a man. I mean, let's assume that not all men are bad, and the good men out there in the society, if they exist, why don't they come to the defense of women who are under attack?
I think it's all in the mentality that men have.
Okay.
Yeah. Abusers also have friends, and we know our friends who are abusive, and we don't do anything about it. It also comes to back to what she's saying, that the women are some sort of a property. If it's my woman, stay out of it. It's not your business.
So that things happening in the bro code.
That you can't penetrate other people's issues. It's all in the mentality. I think if programs like they are running where women can also come to light as citizens, as people who deserve the same dignity as men, because women are also always deemed like they belong to men. They belong to a certain family. They always belong. They never stand on their own, and we deal with women as citizens, as equals. So I think that's where the problem is. That's why men feel safer, but just by hitting a woman, they know that people won't know because she's mine. You understand? Or she's just a woman passing by. No one is going to say anything about it.
So that's very interesting. Brother Sidwell, maybe I should bring it in. Having heard that women are seen as a possession and that they don't belong, do you find that that is one of the reasons why women find it difficult to report? Are women reporting the cases? Is the stats that we have, are they actually a clear indication of the problem that we have in society.
I think before that, maybe to just jump in and indicate that talking about gender-based violence, we normally say they are behavioral issues.
Okay.
They are socially constructed.
Wow.
People are raised in an environment where they've been taught to behave the way they behave. Men are raised in an environment where they've been taught that you must raise up your hand for the woman to hear you. Those are the issues that need to be addressed. We need to deal with mindset. We need to teach people to unlearn all these negative behaviors that we're talking about. And yes, that's what we call women syndromes, battered syndromes, which is the process that women go through. It becomes very difficult for them to open up and go and open a case, report these particular cases. You need to understand that the person who's abusive towards you, it's someone that you're very close with. That's why we regard them as domestic violence. It's your partner. It's someone that you love. And time and time, you live with this belief that you will change. There are those who come report these particular issues and then later on they come and withdraw their cases. And we don't want that. And what is important is for us to ensure that we talk about these issues. We empower them as women that the minute you see these signs that require you to do and to ensure that you seek help. Let's encourage men to go out there and seek help, because time and time they will be indicating that I don't know how to treat them. And some of them, it's true. They were raised in an environment, the way they've been exposed, they've been taught that for you to show that you're a man, you need to be abusive towards your partner. Those are the teachings that they grew up, being taught. And what is it that we are doing to ensure that we correct all these negative behaviors that they've bonded with? It requires sessions. Tabo spoke about men's fora. That's where men sit and talk about these particular issues. So as men, it's our safe space. We are able to come up with strategies. We are able to correct all these gender stereotypes. We need to understand that we don't have to treat them as object. We are living in a patriarchal world. She indicated that, it's a patriarch, that, women are seen as object, as things that are there to be used by us as men. What is it that we are doing to ensure that we change that mindset? We need to ensure that we engage with men. We empower men. We educate them in order for them to be able to understand these issues, so that they can be able to practice, to approach them differently. Even in churches, there are churches that promote these particular issues that we are learning about. It requires us to sit and try to be very clear when we put rules or when we, talk about Bibles, because oftentimes it's how we, interpret the Bible. Sometimes there are people who would interpret, or there are those who would interpret for them in a way that it suits them to benefit them. You're quite right. And it become a challenge. We need to be clear and we need to understand that man and a female, there's not much different. We normally say, the only difference is biological differences. We have to treat them as equal as we are.
I think what you're saying is, wow, okay, it's very deep. I think we all agree with the sentiments that is God. But I want us to just cut to an ad break, and then we can come back and unpack these issues furthermore. And to the viewers at home, stay tuned. We will be right back, and we're going to answer this question that you really need to know. Stay tuned. This is The Chosen Generation. Welcome back. You're still watching The Chosen Generation. And we are asking the question, why are women under attack in the church? And I'm here with my insightful guests, and we're going to go much deeper and try and answer the very same question I've just stated. I think let me start with you, Brother Tabo, before we continue. Maybe you can share with us the reasons why you, I believe you said earlier on in the first segment that you had committed some form of abuse. Maybe you can share with us the reasons why you did that.
Yeah, like I've indicated that I was a victim growing up. So, and then somehow I became a perpetrator. So now reason why I wanted this change is that I didn't remember I'm a father of 2 boys. Okay. So I just didn't want to raise monsters. So I decided that, what, I'm not going to let my kids go through what I went through. So let me do something about this. But remember now, with domestic violence, it's all about power and control. And once you stand up and do something about that, that means you're losing your power and control. So now you have to know how am I going to apply my power and control without being violent. So yeah, I think what scares most men is that once you lose the power, you don't know how are you going to use that powerless strategy. How am I going to handle my situation in my own house without being violent?
Okay.
And once you stand up, that means you are snitching on yourself now. Because once you report, once you go out there and speak to a social worker, you cannot go back and do the same thing that you were doing. So it means now you have snitched on yourself, you're not going to do it again. That power is being cut off.
Okay.
So I decided to do something about it.
Okay,
And
power and control, as you say.
Yeah.
Maybe I should come to you, Vahul. There's, this victim shaming when someone does go and report the case, and particularly even from the own relatives. Is this true? Why is it happening? Why do people judge women for reporting the case?
It is true because number one, it often depends on who the person is who was the perpetrator, right?
Yeah.
And if it's somebody who is in a position of power, they are less likely to be called to book or called to account by virtue of the position that they hold, either position of influence or of power, right? So in a church setting, it would be a position of influence.
Okay.
So if it's a certain pastor or a certain elder, they're less likely to be called to book because hey, he's a good man, So we want to somehow defend him and protect him at the expense of the victim. So the first question we will ask, what did you do to him to make him do what he did?
So you made the man of God fall.
You made the man of God fall. It's your fault, right? Or if it's in a home setting and the husband is the breadwinner and he's providing also for his parents, when the in-laws come, they're going to ask, but you also talk too much. If you didn't talk too much, he wouldn't have hit you. You made him do this. So it's always blaming the victim. So women know this and they're very conscious of it. That is why sometimes they make a deliberate effort not to say anything, lest they be judged or be condemned for speaking up against a certain prominent figure in the community, right? But for a person who is also abused in a marriage setup where you find that she is not employed, the question that first comes to her mind is, if he goes to jail, who's going to provide for us? So politics of the stomach also comes into play in such a setup. It makes it very difficult for her to be able to go through with the charges, if ever she even dares to go to the police station in the first place. So those are some of the dynamics. But also there's the element of love that I think we often overlook or lack understanding of it. When she has resolved in her heart that I love this man, in her mind, love is supposed to protect. So she will sacrifice herself for the sake of this marriage that she is now in. So that's another dynamic that people don't understand. And then you ask, but it's been happening for so long. Why didn't she go? It's not so easy because she keeps reconciling herself to him without him even making much effort. She keeps saying to herself, I love him. He will change. He will do better. So it's the hope that he will change that keeps her there, that keeps her saying that, no, I'm not going to report. But also it's the notion in society that says, which basically means that a woman must be the one who holds it where it's toughest in a situation. So you as a woman, you must be strong, and you must stand strong for the sake of your marriage, the sake of your family. Stand strong and just hang in there. It will come to pass. But it's said that sometimes it comes to pass when you're in a coffin.
When you're in a coffin. I think Bafana, Thabo mentioned that fear, that losing power, that losing the control, and how that is one of the issues that made him go to these extreme ways. And I don't know, I feel I should ask you and say, how do you address this problem? We have spoken so eloquently about the existence of the problem in all its facets, but how do we solve it? What is the solution to this?
I think, the system also respects patriarchy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we start. The system as a whole, socially, and for you to survive, economics of our context also requires also as a man to do something. It also, that's why there are more men working than women. You understand? More men see themselves as important when they have some sort of control over situations, might be economic, socially, or stuff like that. But if if the system is addressed in such a way that women are also empowered to be independent, women are also empowered to work the same jobs as men, women are also empowered to be at positions of influence like men. You know, it will be very difficult for men to abuse women when they are all equal, because now the situation allows men to do so because they are the only ones who are in the position of power. When you abuse a woman, that woman will also go and report another man to a man. If that man is also an abuser, that case won't go anywhere. You understand? So, but if we uplift our women so that wherever we are, they are also there, I think it will minimize some harm, because if the system is run by men, even if it's good men, it becomes very difficult for men to fight against men. So if a woman reports a case to a police woman who is a woman, it becomes it's a whole new ball game. There's no woman who can keep quiet when another woman is being abused.
That's true.
So it's all about inclusion and equality.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wanted to bring in the element of human trafficking, but I don't think we're going to have time. So I want us to maybe spend the last few minutes looking at practical tips on how we can ensure the protection of women. Maybe some advice that, I don't know who must be advised, because you're just talking about systemic failure now. So I don't know, maybe we'll start with you, Sidwell. Practical tips, how do we help ensure the safety of women?
I think what is important, I think I concur with what my colleagues just indicated. And maybe to start by indicating that what Tabo alluded about, I always say behavior is a team sport. You know, you require a certain team that will be able to help you, for you to be able to change, or for you to be able to do a certain thing. You know, we grew up in a society being exposed to all these things. And for you to be able to unlearn, you require a certain team that will be able to help you. He was fortunate to find a team at Adapt, you know, going through the process of counseling, going through the process of men's forum, where there's a group of men sitting and talking about gender-based violence issues and sharing their frustration, sharing how they don't understand them. Those are some of the things that, you know, help one to be able to understand, so that you can be able to, you know, copy mechanism. What are other people doing when they find themselves in these particular situations? So
basically, counseling, good support and good inputs into the man can address this.
Maybe before that, maybe to indicate that it's critically important for us to ensure that primary prevention, it's the key. We need to ensure that we go out there and we empower our fellow community members. We normally saying primary prevention, go to schools, you know, work with young boys, work with young girls, empower them, for them to be in a space where they will be able to stand up, because that's where it begins, and ensure that families, it become a family where, you know, we are not practicing all these behaviors that we are alluding about, because learners in schools, they are learning and copying all these negative behaviors that are happening in their respective homes. They go to schools and they replicate all those couple, you know, behaviors that they are actually witnessing at their, you know, different homes. So it's important for us to ensure that we empower them, we give them a space. They are able to know that they worth. You know, as a girl child, you worth. No one has a right to come and, you know, articulate certain things to you. Your body is your body. No one has a right.
I think
no one has a right to treat you as an object.
Yes. So focus on the boy child. What about you? Any practical tips?
I think the practical tips, I want to refrain away from saying women must do this or women must not do that, because I think for a very long time we've been saying that, but nothing has been changing, right? I think it's a matter of people learning self-mastery. By that I mean that let us learn emotional intelligence, how to control your anger, how to control your manner of approaching, how you approach things, to pause, think and reflect before you respond to a situation. I think that will take us a long way. So I also want to refrain away from saying to women, don't dress like this, don't dress like that, because Tamar in the Bible, she was a whole princess, fully dressed like a princess, yet she was raped by a prince, her own brother, right? So for us to also say that it's a matter of women must dress like this or not dress like that, is also still not solving the problem. The problem once again goes to self-mastery, to be able to not look at a woman lustfully, because as Jesus said in the Bible, that if you look at her lustfully, then you've already committed adultery. He didn't say dress appropriately so that, right? So it's all about us. It's all about us dealing with how we dealing with the issues of the mind, in how we perceive things and how we interpret things. So if we can control ourselves and be able to have mastery over how we behave ourselves and carry ourselves in society, then we'll go a long way.
Wow, I would like to thank you all for helping us to unpack this issue. And maybe to the viewers at home, I'd like us to consider Jesus. You know, women are very precious to the Almighty. And look at the case in John chapter 8. It was Jesus himself who came to the protection of a woman when man stood up wanting to stone her. And I say to us at home and to ourselves here, let us emulate this Jesus, because he's the one who saves, who sanctifies and satisfies. Thank you so much, viewers, for being with us. It has been amazing. And we have another show for you next week. Tune in and let us talk about this right here on The Chosen Generation.